Caitlin's episode of David Letterman's Netflix's show is out. How to watch Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark is the newest guest on David Letterman's show. My next guest needs no introduction. Letterman, the former talk show host and Indianapolis native, handpicks his guests for each episode. Previous guests have included former President Barack Obama, Miley Cyrus, Charles Barkley, Kevin Durant, and Julia Lous-Dreyfus, among others. Here's what happened on Clark's episode. What do Caitlin Clark, David Letterman do on My Next Guest Needs No Introduction? The episode starts out with Clark and Letterman heading to Long's Bakery, a donut shop staple on the near west side of Indianapolis. As people inside the shop immediately recognize the pair, Letterman offers to pay for everybody's orders. Fans take pictures with Clark and Letterman. It then shifts to the sit-down interview Clark and Letterman did on Ball State's campus in Muncie, which was part of the school's David Letterman Distinguished Professional Lecture and Workshop Series. The talk in November was open to those who could claim tickets, but they were required to put their phones in protective cases. Now, the talk is open to everyone around the world. Clark walked out to raucous cheers and a standing ovation in the auditorium, something she's gotten used to with constant sold-out crowds both home and away during the season. After a few years of superstardom, it's something she's started to expect. But looking back to her aspirations, as a young kid, this kind of fame has exceeded her expectations. It's not something you ever take for granted, Clark told Letterman in their sit-down at Ball State. Getting to walk out here, and people go crazy, and are so excited about you, that's pretty awesome, and it's cool to see people wearing my jersey. But I don't know if I ever imagined to be on this level. Throughout the discussion, Clark talked about how she first decided to attend Notre Dame, then changed her mind to stay close to home in Iowa, how her dad renovated a portion of the house to give her an indoor health court in 5th grade. She discussed her constant competition, whether it was against her brother, running from house to house on Halloween, or in daily practices with her Hawkeye teammates. Caitlin Clark, David Letterman go duckpin boating at Fountain View Inn. The episode then shifts to Clark and Letterman at the Fountain View Inn in Indianapolis, going duckpin boating. Clark had never gone duckpin boating before, but it didn't stop her from being her competitive self. After Letterman knocked down 7 pins in one roll, he turned to give a double high five to Clark. She returned it, begrudgingly. "I sense that you were reluctant to do that," Letterman quipped. "You're my opponent," Clark replied matter-of-factly. Caitlin Clark acknowledges her privilege within WNBA. Following the duckpin bowling, which Letterman declared he won, the two sat down at the inn to talk about Clark's privilege in the league. Letterman started the conversation by mentioning a lot of people said she was being targeted for reasons outside of her being a rookie, and Clark jumped in with, "Well, I don't think I was being targeted." Letterman responded with, "Well, did other people think, oh, she's being victimized because she's white? Because you're from a different class of player economically?" Clark, as a white player in a majority black league, one that has started to become popular because of the efforts of black women, knows the privilege she has. "I definitely have privilege. I'm obviously white," Clark said. "But I think I'm somebody that grew up a huge fan of this league. I grew up watching this league, going to games, supporting this league, so I know where this league comes from. A lot of black women that grew up making this league what it is, and that's the shoulders that we stand on. So I think that's something I'm very aware of, and something I'm thankful for. And they definitely deserve all the credit, and the more we can give credit to them, the better." David Letterman talks with Lisa Bluder in Iowa City. As part of the episode, Letterman traveled to Iowa City to meet with Lisa Bluder, Clark's coach at Iowa, for 4 seasons. Clark was a 2-time National Player of the Year at Iowa, leading her Hawkeyes to the NCAA championship game in her junior and senior seasons. She led the Lencore in points and assists her senior year. But believe it or not, passing was not something that came naturally to her when she first started college. When Clark first stepped on campus in 2020, Bluder and her staff had to convince her to consider passing to her teammates instead of taking over the game. Most of all, it was trusting her teammates, being able to pass to her teammates when they're open instead of taking a hard shot. Bluder said, being able to play with people.